to pick up more Republican seats so you'll have a voice that can be heard in the Assembly?
Absolutely. I feel that the people of New York are starting to realize, they definitely realize that Albany is broken, that the system is not working there, they're not being represented properly, that special interest groups basically control Albany. And they need to send some fresh-minded people up there to try to make a difference. No special interest group, nobody owns me, nobody controls me. I'm looking to do what's best for my constituents. I'm looking to represent them. When I ran for county legislature, I promised my constituents running, I will not vote for a tax increase or a fee increase or a new tax. I made that solemn vow to them. And I know a lot of people have heard politicians make that vow before, but I took it very serious. And since I've been on the legislature, I've voted against two budgets, the 10% tax increase and the 3.5% tax increase. I voted against the 25-cent bag tax, and we've stopped that. I voted against the 30-cent cell phone tax, and we've stopped that. $100,000 purchase of a sculpture from Arizona to put in front of a county building. Vigorously fought that. Basically, since I've been there, I have fought for fiscal responsibility, and I will continue that fight in Albany.
Okay. And you feel that you'll be able to make a bigger difference as an assemblyman?
Absolutely do. I feel that the people of Rockland County deserve better representation than what they're getting. Their voices deserve to be heard. They do not deserve to be pushed to the side just because they're the minority. The whole point of being a representative is to represent your constituents. And if your constituents do not want something and they do not feel it's fair, then that is the way you should vote. You should represent their views and what they want. That is our job as representatives.
Do you feel folks from, say, your generation, you're a relatively young married man with a family, do you feel that they're finding it harder to stay here in Rockland County?
Chairman, I absolutely do. And I not only feel it, I know it. I challenge anybody of my generation, between 27 to 35, to name 5 people they went to high school with in Rockland County that still live in Rockland County, that own a home in Rockland County, that are raising children in Rockland County. I don't think it's possible. I went to Nyack High School. I grew up in Valley Cottage. I can't name 5 of my friends that were able to buy a home and stay in Rockland County. It's just gotten to a point where people are leaving in droves and we're losing our next generation. This generation, my generation statistically, is the first generation in the history of this country that will not do as well or better than their parents. Every generation since this country has existed has at least done as well as their parents, the majority of them statistically. My generation is the first ones that will not do as well. If your father was a cop and he moved to Blauvelt and you lived in a house with 2 cars and now you're a cop, you can't afford to live in Blauvelt. They're moving back to the city. They're moving to Orange County. They're moving out of state. They're moving to Texas, North Carolina. They're finding careers there because that's where all our businesses are going. They're closing up shop and they're going to places that give them a tax break incentive to open business. And as long as New York State continues to leech and abuse small businesses and businesses in this state, they're going to continue to leave. Case in point, Pepsi. With the obesity tax, they just got hit with the bigger, better bottle bill. Now they're talking about implementing the obesity tax. Pepsi says flat out, if you implement the obesity tax, we're moving to Connecticut. It's over 2,000 jobs.
Right. Well, obviously, from where you speak, you are a homeowner, and you're raising a young daughter. You're going to be putting her in school pretty soon, and you're saying that people of your generation are finding it difficult to meet their mortgages and to send their kids to parochial schools or private schools, if you will, and you feel that you're definitely going to be able to make a difference here. At least that's what you're telling our viewing audience.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, I'm going to do my best to make a difference. Unfortunately, so many people feel that all is lost. They're discouraged with the process. They're discouraged with the system. And those are the people that are leaving. So many people are too busy running their own day-to-day lives. They're working, they're running their businesses, and when they come home at night, they'd rather put on the TV than get involved in local politics. But the truth of the matter is, somebody's got to do it. And I'm not going to give up without a fight. I'm not going to let them take everything from me and destroy my child's future so that this county becomes a place that I know my child will not be afforded to live in. My daughter goes to the same school that I went to growing up, St. Paul's School in Valley Cottage. And I want her to have the same wonderful upbringing in Valley Cottage, in Clarkstown, that I had growing up.
Okay, and you mentioned small business before, that they're leaving New York. How would you, Frank Sparaco, Assemblyman Frank Sparaco, State Assemblyman, how would you feel that you could prevent this from happening?
We have to implement incentives for small businesses. We have to stop constantly leaning on small businesses. Example, the MTA payroll tax. This is a killer. This is devastating for the Hudson Valley region. It is extremely unfair and unbefitting, and it should have never been thrust upon us in the first place. Now, when liberal ideology like that, which is basically redistribution of wealth, take it from the middle class in the lower Hudson Valley so that we don't have to raise the tolls in New York City or put tolls on the East River crossings, has to be stopped. It has to be combated. Now, my opponent voted against the MTA payroll tax, which is great. I'm glad he did. It's one of the 2 out of the 190 taxes I referred to before that he actually voted no on.
What did he say on it?
Well, I researched. It's funny that you asked that. I researched the minutes from that meeting. He didn't speak. He did not speak up for the constituents of Rockland County once.
He just voted no.
He just hit a button and voted no. He didn't fight for us. I would have been, I promise you and I promise the listeners, something like that devastating to Rockland County comes before me as an assemblyman, I will be on the top of the mountains on every TV show, on every radio show. Anybody that'll listen, I will be there screaming and trying to let the constituents know the injustice that is about to take place, and they will know about it. Instead of sending out a mailing with me shaking hands with a Boy Scout, I will send out a mailing that lets them know that they are about to be destroyed by an MTA payroll tax, a mailing with some substance. The community needs to be educated. That's another problem. Many constituents, many community people don't know what they even are doing in Albany. And when I explain it to them, they're shocked.
Well, yes, you've become quite an advocate, and it seems that you have a huge support from the quote, Tea Party people, if you will. You're active with their organizations. I know you attend their meetings, and you seem to be getting a lot of support from that area. Now, do you find that these are mostly Republicans, or are they coming from all different venues and political persuasions?
I find that they are absolutely coming from all different political persuasions. As a matter of fact, when I first started attending these meetings, I would ask them, if they asked me to speak, I would ask them, how many Republicans, how many Democrats in the room? And it was usually 60-40 Republican-Democrat, and which I found surprising. But the conservative Democrat, the fiscally conservative Democrat, is disheartened, and they are discouraged with the liberal left that has hijacked the Democratic Party. Essentially, the Democratic Party is not the Democratic Party of my grandparents. It doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And the Tea Party people, I have been fortunate enough that they have supported me. They have embraced me. And I'm honored by that, because to tell you the truth, I feel that means I'm doing a good job. Anybody that speaks about fiscal responsibility and says that they support me in my decisions is A-okay in my book.
Well, it must be working, because you know the recent events here in our own party, where we had the Suffolk County executive that was a Democrat all his life,